video, we will learn about the opera The Tale of Tsar Saltan, which the music Flight of Bumblebee comes from. Are you enjoying the warmer weather? I'm not really an outdoor person, but since all the gyms are closed for quarantine, I started to run outside as my exercise, and for the most part it's been really enjoyable experience for me. But there's one thing that really stresses me out, which is the bees and the insects. I hate bees. Like, bees are one of my biggest fears in the world, and because the weather is so nice and warm, now there are so many bees and butterflies. Butterflies freak me out so much, but butterflies and bees and grasshoppers and all these insects. I had several occasions of being chased by bees, and those incidents motivated me to make a video about the Flight of Bumblebee. Before my research, I knew that Flight of Bumblebee was originally written for orchestra, but because of its exciting energy and fun soundscape, it was arranged for virtually any solo instrument in the world. But I didn't know that the piece was actually from an opera. So the opera, The Tale of Tsar Saltan, is composed by Rimsky-Korsakov, and the synopsis is based on a poem by the famous Russian poet Pushkin. And the opera story is like a pinnacle of Disney fairy tale. It has elements from Sleeping Beauty, Snow White, Shakespeare's Winter Tale, and Swan Lake. So the story starts with a scene of three sisters spinning to make clothes. That's like Sleeping Beauty. And while they are making clothes, they fantasize about getting married to the Tsar, the king of the kingdom. And the first sister says that if I get married to Tsar, then I would cook for the biggest feast in this world, throw a biggest party, and cook delicious meal for him. And the second sister says, if I marry the king, then I am going to make the most glorious and glamorous clothes for him. And the third sister says, if I marry the king, then I am gonna give him a brave and healthy son who will be the heir of his kingdom. And magically, the Tsar Saltan was passing by this house, and he overheard this conversation. So he walked into the house and he chose the third sister, the youngest one, to be his wife. He appointed the first sister to be the royal cook and the second sister to be the royal weaver. And the sisters were not happy about this. And there's another character, an old lady, who gets really upset about this situation as well. So that character is like a stepmother in Cinderella story. So anyways, the king and the third sister gets married. She becomes the queen and she gets pregnant soon after. And before she gives birth to this prince, there breaks a war, and the king has to go fight in war. So now the queen had to give birth to the prince while the king was in the war, and she writes a letter telling him that everything went fine, the baby is healthy and beautiful, and blah blah blah. The three upset ladies get in the way of the messenger of the letter. They get the messenger drunk and they switch the letter to what they wrote. And in the letter that they wrote, it says that she's fine, but the baby turned out to be a monster, not a human. And when the king read the letter, he got really upset, but he wrote back to the queen, don't do anything until I get back home. And the three upset ladies interferes again, the messenger drunk again. They switch the letter again. And this letter says, put the prince and the queen in a big barrel and throw them into the ocean. Everyone in the kingdom got shocked because they saw this healthy, beautiful prince and, this kind queen. And all of a sudden, this king just orders really merciless and inhumane order. So everyone's shocked, but it's king's order, so it had to be carried out. So they actually put the prince and queen in the big barrel and throw them in the ocean. Luckily, the queen and the prince reach a shore of an island that nobody lives, and magically the prince grew up like exponentially with while he was in the barrel, and he went out to hunt to provide for himself and his mother. And while hunting, he helped a swan that was endangered by a kite. The next day, there was a huge, beautiful castle in the island, and a lot of people in the island. That was the swan's thank you gift. The people in the castle in the island crowned the prince to be the king of that kingdom. And the name of the prince is Gideon, so from now on I'm gonna call him Gideon. So Gideon was having a peaceful time, but one day a merchant sailing ship arrives to the shore of this island. Gideon serves them with good food and good wine, and treat them very nicely. And it turned out that these merchants are actually from Tsar Saltan's land, kingdom. And Gideon didn't say anything, but that visit really triggered his daddy issues and his childhood trauma, and he gets into this depression mode. And the swan sees that, so the swan asks him how she can help him, and he says that he misses his father and he wants to visit that territory. He wants to see that kingdom and whatnot. So the swan turns him into a bee, and that's when Flight of Bumblebee is played in the opera. So Gideon, in the form of bee, travels to the kingdom of Tsar Saltan, and he witnesses the dinner of Tsar Saltan with the merchants. And the merchants talks very highly about Gideon's kingdom, and Tsar Saltan gets really excited, and he's like, oh, I want to visit there, that sounds so much fun, I want to check out. But these three evil ladies, do you remember? Three evil ladies, they discouraged Tsar Saltan to make this trip, and that really upsets Gideon. So the bee stings those three ladies, and that's when the music, the Flight of Bumblebee, plays again. Every time the bee moves, the music is playing. He comes back, and fast forward, eventually he asks for the most beautiful goddess-looking wife to the swan, and it turns out that his soulmate is that swan, the princess who was enchanted to be the swan. But now, since she found her soulmate, now she can be a human again, and the magic spell gets broken, and then they get married, and he has the most beautiful wife in the world. And Tsar Saltan eventually bosses up to visit Gideon's kingdom, and eventually he reunites with the queen. Oh, and the evil sisters confess their trickeries, and the queen forgives them, and everyone's happy and content and all is good. That's the story. Yeah, so this is a very fun story, and the music is really fun to listen to as well. It was composed in 1900, so it's a late romantic piece, very easy to listen to, very romantic, and it's composed by Rimsky-Korsakov. He was a leading composer for Russian nationalistic music. Also, he's regarded as a master of orchestration. So this opera captures the Russian Orthodox culture and the sound and soundscape and the color. Very interesting and different, entertaining. It's very Russian fairy tale-like, really. In terms of orchestration and musical style, I can pick up some Russian Easter Overture and some Scheherazade here and there. and it's really fun and easy, accessible opera to start with. And Rimsky-Korsakov was actually not a full-time musician. His main career was a military personnel. He actually attended the Navy school from age 12, and he became the Navy officer, and later he oversaw the Navy band, I think, while he was teaching at St. Petersburg Conservatory. The reason why he chose the career in Navy is because he grew up with this fascination over the literatures about the seas and the overseas and the faraway lands and the exotic places of the world, and he had this curiosity for exploration. In his composition, there are several pieces that reflect his interest in the outer world and exploration and the exoticism, and this piece is one of them clearly. On YouTube, I found two very helpful and entertaining resources. One is a very old animation of this story, and the second one is the live performance of the opera by Mariinsky opera conducted by Gergiev. I watched the animation first to get the synopsis in my head, and then watched the opera, because opera doesn't have the English subtitle, so if you don't know the story, then then you cannot understand anything. It's in Russian. I highly recommend you invest some time into this animation and opera. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and watch my next video, which is gonna be about another interesting composition by the same composer, Rimsky-Korsakov, Scheherazade. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you find this video helpful and entertaining, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye! Hi everyone, I just came back from my 2 days run after shooting the video. Today I didn't encounter any bees, but I encountered two bald eagles, and they hunted small birds right in front of my eyes. Like, that was crazy and it was really scary, but it was like amazing and wonderful experience. Only in Arizona you can experience this. But I just wanted to make this video really quick to tell you that in the description box I put the link to those two videos that I mentioned in the video, and some remarkable solo arrangements of this piece, The Flight of Bumblebee, as well. So please check them out, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye! Stay safe! Don't get eaten by eagles or COVID-19. Bye!